glad to tell you tonight that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, has an answer to every problem that you face.
From his humble roots in Charlotte to crusades around the world, Reverend Billy Graham became a household name across generations.
He has conquered the grave. He's alive.
From passionate sermons to spiritual counsel to world leaders, the legacy he hoped for was far more simple and basic.
The moment that I die, I'm going to be in the presence of God.
Tonight, the passing of an era. NBC Charlotte Remembering America's Pastor starts right now.
He was Charlotte's favorite son, and reaction coming in from across the Carolinas and around the world as we remember the Reverend Billy Graham. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm Sarah French.
And I'm Bill McGinty. At this hour, presidents, pastors, and celebrities are remembering the man who left a huge mark on Charlotte and the world for that matter. Our crews are spread out tonight as we look back on his incredible legacy and as we look ahead to his funeral, which will likely be one of the biggest events Charlotte, North Carolina has ever seen. Fred Shropshire is off the desk tonight. He's live over at the Billy Graham Library for us. And Fred, a lot of people there obviously to pay their respects, or at least to begin to pay them, right?
Oh, absolutely. You know, this library, a popular attraction for tourists and people alike since its unveiling in 2007, but today even more so. There's a crush of media, local all across the Carolinas, North and South Carolina, and national media we've seen pull up as of late, along with the people coming to pay their respects. Earlier, since we learned of the death of Reverend Billy Graham, we saw people lining up outside of the library to pay their respects for a man many of them credit for bringing them closer to God. In the next 90 minutes, we'll be talking a lot about that connection that people had with Reverend Billy Graham. We'll be talking to those who knew the Reverend best, including his family. We were live in Montreat, a place Reverend Graham retired to and called home, and we're learning more about funeral plans and the impact that will have on the Queen City during the next week. But first, a look back at Reverend Graham, 99, just shy of his 100th birthday, passing away peacefully, we're told, at 7:46 this morning. His impact felt all across Charlotte for decades. His legacy will be felt for generations to come.
Jesus said you have to become as a little child.
He's Charlotte's most well-known son, but the Reverend Billy Graham lived to become one of the most beloved and most powerful religious leaders of our time.
And now on this 20th day of January, 1993,
he was the unofficial pastor of the White House, giving spiritual counsel to every president since Truman. Fittingly, 3 past presidents were there for the dedication of the library in Charlotte bearing his name, which he said was too much about him.
the primary thing is the gospel of Christ.
Reverend Graham might be most remembered for his crusades, massive revivals which filled coliseums and stadiums around the world.
He has conquered the grave. He's alive.
Billy Franklin Graham grew up on his Presbyterian family's dairy farm near what's now Park and Woodlawn. His ministry began in 1943. He preached on street corners, on radio, and was one of the first ministers to embrace the new medium of television.
Give your life to Christ now, right in your home. Bow your head.
Late in life, as his body was weakened by Parkinson's disease, his faith remained rock solid.
The moment that I die, I'm going to be in the presence of God. And it's going to be a wonderful life, a thrilling life, something beyond anything that we have here in this world.
And Reverend Graham once said in an interview, when he passes away, when he gets to heaven, he said he will ask God why he chose him, such a man as him, to preach to so many people around the world. As you know, you probably know because we've been talking about it for so long, he's preached to more than 185 territories and countries on 6 continents all over the world. His impact globally felt